John DeVersa Podcast.
My teacher saved my life, man. All of them. I remember the vast majority of them, man. Not just my music teachers, but my English teacher in high school. She gave me an assignment that changed my life. She said, write a letter to your mother. She said, write a letter to your parents. It was a class. Write a letter to your parents. You got 15 minutes telling them what you'll be doing 10 years from now. Go.
All right, this episode is with trumpet master Sean Jones, a masterful musician and composer, band leader, and one of the defining voices of modern jazz. He's played with everybody, including Lincoln Center Orchestra, and everybody wants to play with him. And most of you, I'm sure, know his critically acclaimed albums on Mack Avenue. He's a former president of the Jazz Education Network, JEN, and he's such a giving and insightful educator and musician. And I really enjoyed my conversation with him here for this podcast. So here's my podcast with Sean Jones. So welcome, Sean Jones.
Thank you, brothers. Great to be here.
It's an honor to have you here. We just met today, so I've been an admirer of yours for a long time, and it's just really nice to get to meet with you face to face.
Thank you so much. The feeling is mutual.
Thank you. I've been thinking about this time that we were going to have today, and of course I went back and I was looking at other interviews with you with other time that you've given to other interviewers, and there's one thing that you talk about a lot that I want you just to say again, and then you even go drill deeper with it. You seem to always talk about this thing about taking risk, about staying uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
And if you find yourself being comfortable, then you have to keep going because you want to keep learning. But tell me about that self mission and then how it may affect the others too.
Wow. Well, number one, I got to say, man, it's great to be here with you. You've been an inspiration for a long time as well, because there aren't that many of us that decide to do this that are true to what it is, from a heart perspective. And as soon as I saw you, it confirmed everything I had heard about you, man. So it's an honor to be here with you, and thank you. That specific question, it kind of goes back to something I'd heard about Miles Davis. And Miles, apparently his whole thing was an artist should never be comfortable. And so once you get comfortable, it's time to change directions. And I sort of adopted it early on as a part of my life, not realizing that it would turn into and evolved as a sort of way of living or a concept. And now it's after doing a lot of research and doing a lot of internal work and trying to get over my own demons, if you will. Now it's about resistance for me. I read this book that's called The War of Art, not The Art of War. That's a different thing. But The War of Art, written by Stephen Pressfield. And he deals with resistance and how resistance comes into our lives sort of like the soil is to the seed. Like the seed has to burst through the soil. However, the soil simultaneously nurtures the seed. Yeah. It is the resistance. It actually nurtures you. And so he goes on to talk about the varying aspects of resistance and how they could come into your life. It could be substance abuse. It could be relationships, abusive relationships. It could be addiction. It could be a myriad of things, fatigue, depression, whatever it is that comes in your life that keeps you from doing the things that you feel this deep inner urge to do. And in the middle of that book, he starts talking about this William Blake in this quote, which says, "Eternity is in love with the creations of time." Eternity is in love with the creations of time. And man, I read the thing over and over again. And I became a little obsessed with that one sentence. Eternity is in love with the creations of time. And so I started to analyze it. I said, okay, what's eternity? Eternity is everything that was, is, and will be. It's all time. Creation of time, to me, is something that has a definitive beginning and a definitive ending. You know, this couch we're sitting on, the pillow, the clothes we wear, we are creations of time. Go back to the statement, eternity is in love with creations of time. Why would eternity need us at all? Then I thought to myself, oh, the creations of time make manifest all time eternal in this moment because we can view each other's creations. We can view the manifestation of the power of the great all right now in this moment. If we just get past the resistance and create and do these magical things that simultaneously challenge and inspire one another. And so I said to myself, that's why you have to change. That's why you have to grow. That's why there are seasons in your life. That's why all of these things are the way that they are. And now being at this place that I am in life, man, it's such a blessing to be able to understand it a little bit more and how it relates to everything that ever happened and will happen. And it just gives me a certain level of peace, and it eliminates the fear, which is great.
What does it do? Say that again.
Eliminates the fear.
How so?
Well, I've been dealing with that too. Fear to me is the greatest tool of the illusion. An illusion is a lie, in essence. And in various texts, religious texts, and I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so it's deeply, my understanding of it is a lot through the Christian lens, although I do not believe that the Christian way of looking at things is the only way. It's just a way, right? And so going back to what I was saying, man, that fear is caused by the illusion, right? And so these illusions or mirages come into our life to skew our mentality. And then it creates a sort of level of self-obsession, and you start to think, man, I'm all alone. Or these ideas that are coming, they can't possibly be worth it. And you just go down to this rabbit hole of self-obsession, which in Dante's Inferno, he calls the lowest dimension of hell, which is the illusion, the lie, when you start to believe it. And we're seeing that now more than ever, and probably in our time. The lies are so insidious right now that we're dealing with our young people, and not just young people, but everybody. They're just depressed, and they're not together. They're being more restricted, staying away from each other more. And so that fear becomes even more and more and more and more insidious because of the lie. And so I've determined now that I want to be with folks like you that understand that consciousness and being together eliminates the fear, because you immediately know that you're not alone. You know that other people are having the same struggles that you are, and that everything that's this resistance and these ideas that come to our mind and that make us think that we can't are simply illusions. They're just lies. All we have to do is get past that and just do it. And that's where the awakening comes. I'm reading this book called A Return to Love by Marrianne Williamson.
Okay.
Man, she explains it so brilliantly.
Wow. Okay.
So brilliantly. And that if we are able to eliminate the falsities that are in our lives and understand that they're just veils, then we could get to all of these things that come into our mind. Those things come from the eternal consciousness of all beings. And what she talks about is basically like humanity and the human race, we're all extensions of like a motherboard. Mm-hmm. And this motherboard is eternity. And we're extensions of that, and we're all the same. We're all connected, and we all speak. And so there's really only one mind. There's really only one consciousness. And sometimes the great consciousness puts a little bit of a seed of a piece of that consciousness into our minds as ideas. And if we're able to meet the resistance and allow that idea to flow, then the beautiful garden of all human ideas and consciousness can just flow out. That's the beautiful thing that I want to get to, man. And it's such an honor now to be an educator, to be able to just try to keep these minds open, you know?
That is so I'm coming from the same place. So speaking about resistance too, it made me think. I've seen. I know you spent a lot of time and menteeship with Wayne Shorter, and he always talks about the resistance of the air to the wings of the airplane. The airplane can't get off the ground unless it feels the resistance, you know, of the air. And the illusion is also in time itself, you know, because in unity, you know, it's all. It just is, right? There is no past, there's no future, it just is. And so we have the great gift of these physical bodies that exist in time. We're in this dimension and everything does exist in time. And there's a beginning and an end to it. and it's to be enjoyed, you know, and to enjoy the resistance and to enjoy the challenges and to enjoy the, you know, and sometimes I feel like the teacher is to really understand compassion too.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Patience and compassion go hand in hand, especially as you are trying to give the gift of patience to somebody else. That is compassion. You know, it's as you were just speaking, I kept hearing this as another verse, right, in the New Testament. It says, it's the writer Paul, you know, and he says, I can't remember what letter it was, but he says, count it all joy when you fall into various trials, right? Because the trying of your faith works patience. And then it goes on to say that let patience create its perfect work so that you could be perfect and complete, wanting nothing.
Yes.
Wanting nothing?
Yes.
Wow, man. And like the more I think about that, the more I realize like patience is the ultimate understanding of time. You know, you ever hear these stories of people that are like they get ready to die, right? Or there's something that happens, like some tragic thing, and time slows down and they see their entire life flash before their eyes. I'm like, your entire life flash before your eyes. Your entire life in a flash, but you can perceive it. That's speaking to the illusion of time being this finite thing, you know. But a second, a minute, an hour, a day, a week, all of that is based on your perception, you know. And it's a great gift, like we were saying to the students earlier, man, what a gift it is to be able to get a little older because you can see time in a different way.
That's right.
Or even have kids. You know, I'm thankful to have 2 children now. Yeah. You know, a 15-year-old that I've been blessed to be able to, I call her my greatest inheritance, you know. And a 4-year-old, you know, who came March 12th, 2020. You know, and they challenge me every single day, and they force me to slow down, you know, and have patience with myself too. Going back to that notion of love, patience is compassion for yourself, because that's the first person you got to give grace to. You know, and
learn how to.
And oh man,
Tell me more about how fatherhood has enhanced your life. And your music, the music.
Well, you know, I'm on sabbatical now. This is the only sabbatical I've ever taken in the past 20 some odd years of teaching. And I've been able to slow down because of that. But also with them specifically, they force me to slow down, because I realize that if I want to love them more, I have to learn how to be able to take a step back and see clearer the whole vision. And I also see myself when I look into their eyes. You know, it's kind of like what Jimi Hendrix said. I used to see in a room full of mirrors, or I used to live in a room full of mirrors, and all I could see was me. And then I took my soul and I crashed those mirrors. Now the whole world is there for me to see. I see the whole world in their eyes, man. And all it does is make me want to just pour and give everything to them. And the more I do that, the more my own personal flaws are exposed. It's like, man, all of these little prisons or these little cells are being unlocked in my mind. It's forcing me to go back to deal with my youth and deal with the abuse that I dealt with growing up, man, and the difficulty of having a father that left when I was 5 and all of these things that I've been trying to unpack. And then I said to myself, wow, what a great gift that my level of consciousness through patience and being able to take a step back, it actually helps me to be able to figure out how to break the generational chains.
That's just what I was thinking.
You know? Yeah, you know, there's this book by Dr. Joy DeGruy. It's called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. And my wife and I, we do this show that's called Dizzy Spells, and it's a look into Dizzy Gillespie's life. And one of the pieces we deal with is this particular piece during that, because Dizzy gets to it through the Baha'i faith. And man, inside of that, she deals with this psychiatric study, American Psychiatric Association, that says that trauma is passed down through generations. Yeah. It's literally in your DNA. Yeah. And as we evolve as human beings and we hopefully become a little more awakened, or some of us, we can see what those chains are and we can unlock them in our children. Yeah. And so I feel that going back to the love that I have for them, I'm just trying to keep them as pure as possible. I hug on them all the time, love them. I tell them every single day, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Just pouring that energy and that vibration of the words and power into them so that they can stay a little freer a little longer. Mm-hmm. That's the evolution of humankind. It's from the generations. If you're an educator, if you have the opportunity to work with young people, if you have children, you know, I'm not one of those people that think that you got to have children in order to affect the lives of the next generations. Yeah. Teachers all over the world are called. Let me rephrase that. They're chosen to be those that curate the advance of human consciousness and the evolution of humanity, right? See, being called is interesting. And again, going back to the saying that says, many are called, but few are chosen. When you're called, that's like a wooing. Like, come on over here. It's like sexy, you know? Yeah. Like, oh, I'm being called. Yeah. When you're chosen, you don't have a choice. Yeah. It's like Dick Gregory says, man, once you put on the glasses, you can't take them off, and it's a dangerous thing. Because you want to take them off all the time, but when you see, it's a beautiful thing, man. It's like, oh my God, I can see all this stuff, and then it's like, okay, I have to do it.
I know. For me, it's lifelong. I get put into these situations where I'm leading this, and also a position of leadership. When it doesn't fit my personality at all. Like when I look at myself, I go, and also positions of being a teacher. Mm-hmm. I never wanted to be a teacher, but I keep being chosen, in these positions, and I always just kind of laugh every time it happens. I understand. Okay, let's do it, and then I love it, of course, and then it fills me up like nothing else. But there's that bit of resistance too, to want to do it. And I know for you, that you said that was the first thing is that you wanted to teach, right? You wanted to be in that position to affect, and the artistry was something that was to some degree secondary. Is that correct?
Yeah, I grew up in the church, man. I grew up, like I said, in this Pentecostal church. This Church of God in Christ was the denomination of Christianity, and it's like one of the most, traditionally sort of like, like the rules. You got to play by the rules in this particular version of Christianity, like. And so it was very restrictive in certain ways, but in other ways, the freedom of expression was there all the time. Mm-hmm. Like in the church service, people hardly spoke at all. Like most of it was sang, And so playing music and being in music was just a natural part of my life, man. We were in church like every other day.
Is that right?
And, oh man, every other day. On Sundays, we were there all day long. I'm talking about
singing.
from and singing like 9:30 in the morning until like 3:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday. Then we would go eat dinner, come back at 7 and be there until like 11.
Wow.
You know, and we would have these crazy ceremonies sometimes where they would be called shut-ins. And it would be like when somebody was sick or something was going on in the church, they would have a shut-in and everybody would get together at like 10, 11 p.m. and literally pray all night long in a chant until like breakfast time. And I was doing this, man, when I was like 13 years old.
This is in Warren, Ohio.
In Warren, Ohio. And so all of these deep traditions and what I started to learn earlier with the theory and all of that, as I started to combine all these things together and sort of understand that, oh, wow, these are all just human utterances or ways for us to get beyond. And these tools that we're learning they fit in that path. And if we're able to structure it a certain way, we can speak to more people, you know? So, man, you know, I've had an interesting relationship with this along. And man, I've had great teachers going back to education. And I wanted to be a teacher because I've had great teachers. My teachers saved my life, man. All of them. I remember the vast majority of them, man. Not just my music teachers, but my English teacher in high school, she gave me an assignment that changed my life. She said, write a letter to your mother. She said, write a letter to your parents. It was a class. Write a letter to your parents. You got 15 minutes telling them what you'd be doing 10 years from now. Go. Dad wasn't around. Dear Mom, I was 16 years old. I said I would be a college professor. And I said that because I noticed that the college professors at the local music school, Youngstown State, where I would go, they all at least had decent cars. So I was like, okay, they're doing okay. And I could teach. I like teaching. I had great teachers. The other one was I want to be Wynton Marsalis' friend, not knowing later that I would be in his band. And the other one was I wanted to have my own albums out. And so those things, once I wrote them down, they became real and I could never unsee them.
Yeah.
So I had to do it. Eternity is in love with the creations of time. Those seeds started getting planted and she knew to give us that assignment. Yeah. And just later on, man, when I went back and played a concert in my hometown after a lot of this stuff happened, I called her up and I said, hey, this stuff happened. Mm-hmm. And I still had the letter. I still have that letter. My mom keeps it, you know. And I'm thankful for this path. And I'm thankful for my teachers. And they've been great, man. And they poured into me. And this was Warren, Ohio, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Warren, Ohio. It's like staunch conservatism and liberalism all in one, right?
I see. My
neighbors were Greek, Polish, Italian, and Black, African American. And you had everybody on one street. You had the serious right-wing people. You had the real liberal left-wing people and everybody in between. Yet all of the kids would play together all the time. Everybody's door was open. And we all knew what Johnny thought up the street. We all knew what Susan thought up the street. But we just let them be.
Could you discuss? Could you disagree?
Oh, yeah. We talked about it all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. But we kept playing together.
Yeah.
Kept playing together. We'd go to each other's house, man. I remember during the holidays, they would have like these little cook-offs, right? And so the Greek people would make their version of some greens. And then the Italians would make their version of some greens. And then the Black folks would make their greens. And then all the kids would eat the greens. And it was always the Italians. Everybody wanted their greens, right? The beans and greens. And it was just joyous. And when something happened, when there was a tragedy, everybody showed up. When somebody passed away, everybody showed up. You know, when somebody got hurt, they showed up. We would just get past stuff.
Real community.
Oh, man.
Real community.
Real community. We knew each other. Our parents worked together. They all went to the factory at the same time, showed up at the same time, left at the same time. You know, honestly, the only time of segregation was actually when they went to church, ironically, you know. But we all got along, man. There would be things that would upset me. You know, somebody would say something that was, you know, racially charged. But I realized early on, man, that it's ignorance. Yeah. Ignorance is not necessarily a derogatory thing unless it's willful. And so I would tell folks, well, you know, did you hear what that person said to you? They called you this or they said this. And I'll say, yeah, I'm going to talk to them about it later. And more times than not, when I talked to them and told them how it affected me, they would apologize and adjust their behavior. That's what we got to go back to. Community, man. Community. We have to be together. That's the biggest trick of the enemy right now, right? Negativity, resistance. In human society right now, it is the separation that's the problem. You know, going back to the Christian Bible, there's a scripture that says, when the gospel has reached the four corners of the earth, then shall the end be, right? I love that because it talks about the gospel. Well, of course, Christians are going to say it's the good news of Jesus. I think the gospel is the return to an elevated human consciousness. It's a return to a togetherness that is spoken by the Christian, spoken by the Jew, spoken by the person in the Baha'i faith, spoken by the Muslim, the mystics. They're all saying the same things. And I think that gospel is a singular vibration that eliminates words, and it's a sound that everyone will unite in. Can you imagine that? One day on earth where everybody vibrated on the same frequency just for an hour. Can you imagine what that would do for the soul and consciousness for humankind? To me, that's the gospel. And it says when the end will be, right? Well, every ending is a new beginning. The end of suffering, the end of pain, the end of separation. When I could literally look at you like I'm looking at you right now and see you as myself. Yeah. Man, what if we could all do that? Power and magic. What we would be able to accomplish as a human, man, we might start flying, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's all possible.
I do too.
I literally think we can I can say, okay, hey man, let's go over to China. You ready? Let's grab hands. Boom. And we could beat it. I think that we have the power to be able to do this as a human race because we are alchemists. We can change the forms of things.
Creators.
We're creators. We just got to get past that resistance.
Yeah. That's exactly right. When you were talking, I was thinking about unity again and the dimension that we're in, which is this duality, right? So the gift is to be able to see the other here. We get to have this experience of I actually get to see, even though we're actually the same, you know, from that same source, I get to see you as something different, as like another. And you see me as another. And we get to engage with each other as if we were not the same thing. You know, what an incredible experience that is. Yeah. You know, and then when we have the illusion that we're separate, then that's a whole other video game we have to play out. You know, well, if we're separate, then we have all these differences, and then we gotta, you know, who's gonna be here and who's gonna be there. You know, like we gotta play out all this animal kingdom stuff. You know, and then, you know, I had this wonderful. I know that you've what a gift to get to spend some time with Herbie Hancock, and I went to go see his show this past April, and I was thinking, you know, why is he doesn't have to do this. He's out there. This was in Tulsa, and I happened to be there at the same time, and my friend Trevor Lawrence was playing with him on drums, and so, you know, got to go and hang out with them, but he, like, they're in the middle of touring. Like they were going down to Dallas, and they had to drive that night because there was an eclipse the next day, and they couldn't drive during the eclipse. And like,
Oh, yeah.
and I was thinking, so why is he doing this? And he does that thing in the middle of the show where he gets on the vocoder thing and starts playing all those incredible things that he's playing, and then he kind of brings the audience in with what he's saying. Isn't this fun? This is the thing I used to do, and then he starts saying, and we're all here because we're all the same family. We're all one family. We're all one. We're all this one family. And I was like,
Yeah.
because he's teaching, he's preaching, he's bringing us all together. Like that's the mission. That's why he's doing this. I mean, I'm putting words in his mouth, but that's what I saw.
You're spot on. Spot on. He lives there, And man, I got to share this story.
Please.
We were on the tour bus heading from the south of France up north. Maybe we were going to Paris. And we were all just kind of hanging out on the bus. Long story short, we get ready to go to bed. It's like 4:00 in the morning. And Herbie's sitting at the little table on the bus right next to the little kitchenette. And he's like checking out Gil Evans. And he's playing his thing, man. And we're like, Herbie, what you checking out? It's like, man, these 2 chords, man. Gil is so hip. I can't figure out what it is. I'm just checking it out. We all went to sleep. We all kind of just started to awaken like around 1 p.m. the next day. And we came downstairs from the top of the bus. And guess who was still sitting there? This was the same year he won Album of the Year. And I asked the same question that you asked. I said, why? This is Herbie Hancock. He's done it. But he knows, man. He's a part of I call it the righteous army, man. The righteous army of humanity that's like going to get past all of the division and just create and show possibility. His book, Possibilities, And that it's such a beautiful thing. And yes, Herbie is doing that, and we see that as Herbie. But I see that in you. Just being here with you, it's the same power, the same righteousness. And what I mean by righteousness is not the notion of being right.
No, man.
It's a quest. Yeah, it's a quest to get to a level of righteousness for all. Yeah. By the elimination of all those things that are not righteous, the lies, the illusions, so that we can live in the truth.
Yeah. And those things are gifts too, right?
Oh man.
Tell me about the pen you have on your jacket here.
Oh, well, number one, I collect pens, and this one says, "You become what you believe." I'm a big sort of faith person. Saying says, "Faith is the substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen." Faith is the idea, right? Well, let me rephrase that. Faith is the energy that gets you to believe, right? Faith is the gasoline for the engine that is the mind. Faith is what gives you the hope, the willpower, and the fearlessness to get beyond the resistance that you're in. It's like at night, if I can't see before me, I have to believe that there's ground in front of me in order to walk. And every step I take, the more confident I get. Then the little pitter patter can turn into frequent steps that could turn into a gait, then eventually a run. And so as it relates to this, I think that most of us have a level of sort of self-deprecation in us. I can't possibly be this good. I can't possibly do this thing. What? what is this idea in my mind? A symphony, an album, writing for this, a string quartet, creating a building, creating a department, flying. That's impossible, But I like this quote Marianne Williamson says, I would have to look it up, but she talks about the notion that, we are all powerful beyond measure. And she says inside of the quote, she says, there is nothing powerful. I'm paraphrasing her. There is nothing uplifting or nothing. I forget the exact words that she uses, but something like nothing elevated or conscious about playing small for the rest of the world because you're afraid to offend someone. Wow. Like we are all meant to shine. Yeah. We're all meant to bring to fruition these magnificent ideas that come to all of us. One of my favorite things I ask in master classes is how many of you have heard a song in your head and didn't write it out? At least 90% of them raise their hands.
Really?
Yeah, at least.
Really?
And I say, well, what if that song was the next national anthem? What if that song was the next version of Happy Birthday? What if that version was that song was this? What if it was the next Take the A Train?
Paul McCartney dreamt yesterday.
Yeah. See what I mean?
Woke up with it.
And so what if the person that wrote Happy Birthday said, oh, this song is too simple. What the hell would we sing on our birthdays?
Paul McCartney's birthday.
Right. Yeah. But those beautiful little things that come, it's important for us to not squash them.
Yeah.
And just negate them because we look at ourselves as being finite. Your body is finite. Your connection to the great all is infinite.
Yeah.
Eternity is in love with the creations of time.
Oh. And you talked about touched on the fear of playing it big too, right? I better keep it down here, right?
Yeah.
I better just tone it down. And those are programs that I think we learn, in different ways, depending on what our cultural, societal, familial experiences are. But like a dream is a dream and imagination is imagination.
It is.
It's vivid.
And man, words are so powerful.
Oh, tell me.
Of course, I love my parents and my grandparents and all of that, but a lot of our folks, they speak through the lens of their own restrictions, and so they like to say, oh, you can't, or even do more derogatory. That's stupid, or that's dumb, or those things have vibrations that enter the canal, of the listener that receives them, and that gets in their bodies, and so a lot of kids, as you know, they come to us with these ideas and they're already restricted.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know you do. You spend a large amount of your time just trying to unlock those chains.
Delete programs.
Yeah, delete programs.
Delete them.
Delete programs. And the first thing I tell them, and I got this from Bill Fielder, it was my professor at Rutgers. He says, the trumpet is one of my favorite quotes. He says that the trumpet is the mirror of the mind.
Yeah.
But another thing he used to say is this. He would say, "Hey man, you got to eradicate the T off of can't and say can. I can." It's so simple. Eradicate the T, right? And the T is where that resistance is. Can. Can't. Restriction of can. I love that, man. And so I just try to just let people, to let people into my soul, which I try to keep free.
Yeah.
And I try to be vulnerable. And I tell everybody, man, I am flawed I am flawed.
Like a human being.
Yes. I am flawed. I make mistakes every single day. I make them all the time. unconsciously, sometimes consciously, you know? Like that's the one thing about the mistake, man. I tell students, like, you know, even when you're doing something dumb, you probably think it's a good idea in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You justify the action.
Mm.
Well, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I could stay up until 5. I'll be cool. Oh, I can have this drink, or I'll just do it once. You know, you create justifications. The illusions create that. And then you realize, oh, this probably isn't advantageous because it sends you a little further away from heaven and a little further into hell, which are both only between your ears.
Okay. Okay. So what are those, you're already telling me, but what are those indicators for you to kind of to let you know, okay, this is going to help me go where I want to go, and this is going to take me further away from where I want to go?
The only tuition that I like is intuition. We all know. We feel it. And if you don't feel it when you're doing it, the result will tell you.
Okay, then how, what are the ways where you keep yourself so open and vulnerable and clear so that you can actually perceive intuition?
Patience. Going back, waiting, taking a step back, waiting for the feeling to come. A lot of times we don't wait. Yeah.
In music too, right?
Oh, big time, man. It's like, how many times are you in the classroom where you teach improvisation for the folks that just come into the program, right? And I know you can attest to this, but they come in and they always start on measure 1 of the form. Just wait for bar 5. Wait for something to come.
Yeah.
Well, what if it never comes? Well, maybe you weren't meant to play a solo. Well, what if it's written in the chart? It'll come to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, patience.
Gonzalo Rubalcaba.
Oh, yeah.
He said one of the greatest things one time. We were in a rehearsal, and there was this thing that he wrote, and it was like, bop, that last note was going to be there.
Yeah.
And every time I laugh with Gonzalo because he slows down my heartbeat, because time does become closer to that illusion.
Yeah.
Where we're going to live on this frequency, and of course when you slow down, then you can understand and perceive so much more. That's what happens. But we were rehearsing the band, and we weren't quite getting that thing, and he said, listen, the next note will come. And everybody went, oh. And everybody, perfect.
Yeah.
The next note will come.
That's right.
Or the next thing you hear will come.
Because it already exists.
Uh-huh. Mm.
Everything that was, is, and will be exists right now. That's really hard for us to understand. That's why I love the writings of Eckhart Tolle.
Mm-hmm. The Power Now.
Yeah. The Power Now and A New Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful books. And the I think one of the last chapters, if not the last chapter of The Power of Now, is the chapter that says, what is it? Surrender.
Mm.
Surrender. And the analogy he uses is so simple, man. So it's like you're in your car, you're headed to the job interview of your life, and boom, there's a traffic jam, car accident. What are you gonna do? You're gonna honk your horn, you're gonna try to get around, you're gonna or are you gonna just say yes? Yes. I am here. I'm gonna miss this interview. And this is what it is. It is as it is. And from that moment, you're able to pick up the cell phone and make a call peacefully. I am in a traffic jam. Are we able to reschedule, or can you wait for a few minutes? From a place of peace, you can move, And that's one of the most difficult. I've had a terribly hard time at that, man. Just because of my own upbringing, man, and like being left alone for so long, dealing with the issues of abandonment and all of those things, it makes you want to control everything in your life, but I had to just, and going back to my children, they definitely teach me every day that I can't control. I am not in control at all, And and you said, what a gift, what a gift, man, to be able to get to this place in life.
The adventure of a lifetime.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Hey, tell me this. What makes you laugh?
What makes me
What
laugh?
makes you laugh?
Quirky things. I like quirky things. I love the English language because you can really play on it,
So you got the dad jokes lined up.
Oh, big time. Man. and they come at just the weirdest times ever, what I mean? Like, and my kids just look at me like, Dad. It's cool. I like to find humor in tragedy, man. It's weird because it's like the observance of a tragedy after it happens through the lens of humor. It's kind of your way of looking at the negativity that made the tragedy happen and saying, "Ha, you tried to get me, but you lost. You affected me, but you did not get rid of me. You didn't eliminate me. I'm still here."
Yeah,
And sometimes that tragedy might be in you losing someone or something, But the reality is we all got to go. No one's gotten out of here alive. Not yet. We're working on it, And wherever they went back to,
right.
It was their time to be back there. Transitions. And I really do believe that every beginning starts with an ending because it's all continuous. And so I've had the great misfortune and blessing of losing a lot of people earlier in my life, from my grandmother to my father to countless family members and peers for a variety of things. And those people come back to me all the time. I'm going to be picking up my mother hopefully on Friday if I'm able to escape the hurricane.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to bring her down to Baltimore and just interview her for a few days, man. And
interview her.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot I don't know about my life coming up, my grandmother and all that. But I know that this is happening. I know she's coming. And literally the other day, I had a dream that I was talking to my mother on a couch, just like this, talking to her, and my grandmother walked in the door and sat down next to her. So I say that these people that I've lost, they still speak to me. They're still around. Their consciousness is still around. Just these cells aren't keeping it away because there's only one mind. One mind. With a billion different iterations of ideologies and thoughts that we bounce off of one each other.
Do you ever draw upon that when you're playing and writing?
All the time.
With people you know or don't know?
Both.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I've ever talked about this. You opening up some stuff in me, man. But, going back to in the church, when I was, I had to be 17 years old. We were having one of those shut-ins, and it was a prayer service, and there was so much turmoil in me. And I remember a pastor of the church praying with me, and I was resisting. And I felt something descend on me that I had never felt in my life, man. It was like everything stood still, and possibility just flowed through me, right? From that moment on, I've never been able to escape that feeling. And every now and then, I've been able to channel it. Every now and then. And sometimes it's been in various performances, yes. But it's also been in moments where, just like literally a couple weeks ago, my 15-year-old was going through a terribly hard time, dealing with some things at school and all of that. And she was in a serious depression. And I just gathered my family together and we held hands. And I said, we're going to sit here until something changes. Let's just pray. And we chanted and we did all of the things. And man, a wind, like this wind tunnel circled our house. And we all started to break down and cry. And like I felt that same spirit, that same energy that I felt back when I was 17 descend on the whole house. We all came out of it like half an hour later. And I looked at her, I said, see? And she looked at me and she understood. And it's like, oh, wow, this is a moment, you know. Her grandfather says all the time, feelings are fleeting. How you feel right now won't necessarily be how you feel later. And she just needed to get to the eternal consciousness and feel that thing, whatever that is, and be connected to it so that she can go forward. That's why it's important to meditate. That's why it's important to chant, important to pray, important to fast. You know, I was talking about fasting with my wife the other day, and I thought of it this way. I said, wow, the mind is part of the body, right? But the body can also be separated from the mind's eye. The mind's eye sits inside of the physical brain, which is the mind or the brain, right? And the brain affects the body. So fasting, if you deprive your body and allow it to cleanse itself, then the mind's eye becomes clearer. And it's like the story of the Jesus, right? I say the Jesus because Jesus, in my view, was one of the many enlightened folks, just like Siddhartha and Tolle and Martin Luther King and Gandhi and Henry David Thoreau and so many other folks, you know, that I've studied. I think Jung was also in that group through through his sort of way of doing things. But the Jesus, there's a story of him being led up a mountain, right? Or being on the mountain during a 40-day fast. And at the end of the 40-day fast, the devil appears, the quote unquote devil appears. And the first thing that the devil does is offer bread. Eat, you're hungry. In which the Jesus says, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out the mouth of God. And then the devil leads Jesus up to the top of the mountain. And the top of the mountain, the devil says, look, I can give you all of this if you just bow down and worship me. Well, Jesus' mind's eye was so open that it could see beyond the lie, knowing that the only thing that it was showing was an illusion. And that's when Jesus said, get behind me, you know, and went on to do whatever he did, the sacrifice and all of that kind of stuff. But that's the power of sacrifice, is when you're able to allow your body to reset so that your mind's eye could become more clear. Some things only come that way. And that, of course, requires patience and being still and, you know. And I love the various practices. Yoga practices talk about it all the time. Different chakras, you know, Hinduism talks about it. I mean, it's all the same stuff, all the same stuff.
Yeah. Yep. In that same vein, I'm curious how you would define ego.
Ego. There's a lot of definitions, obviously, ranging from Freud's to just common sort of variations that people get. I guess what I would say is ego is the illusion that I am bigger than my connection to all of it. It's when I becomes bigger than we. It's where I becomes isolating or isolation. And I can't see past that mirror. That's what ego is. Ego is also a sense that your individual self, which is a part of all, can tap into the great all. So it's, how are you going to see yourself? How are you going to live in that ego that we all have? Are you going to be on the bright side of it, or are you going to be on the dark side of it? I love the show Stranger Things, man. Stranger Things is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome because each show, they show how when they go into the darkness, they go into the underside of their consciousness. And when they go into the light, they stay above. You know, it's that saying, I believe my wife says it a lot. And it's in Islam, where they say, as above, so below. It's the same thing. The illusion is always there, riding right along with the truth, what you're going to tap into. And the other thing about Stranger Things is they never come out of the darkness until they find one another, until they get together. That's the beauty. That's why, I'm working on what I'm calling my last album, And the reason I'm calling it my last album is because it'll be probably the last album that I do as this version of myself. I don't know what's next for me. I don't know what's going to happen musically in my creativity, but I don't want it to be about Sean Jones anymore. Like, I'm done with that. Like, I want to do more collaborations. I want my friends to be able to call, hey, man, I got this idea. You down? And then we could talk about doing it. I just want to be free from the financial ramifications of creativity. And that doesn't mean that I got money. I'm not saying it like I have these resources. I just want to fall into the belief that what I'm supposed to create will make a way. And if I'm supposed to do it, then the way will happen. I'm going to literally live in faith. I'm going to live according to the ideas that come, and I'm going to just take steps. And if it doesn't work out, that means it wasn't supposed to be. And if it does work out, then okay, cool. This collaboration works, that works. And I somehow feel that I'll be more prolific, and I'll be able to live in more of the version of myself that's not just restricted to this notion that Sean Jones, the artist, is doing this. I just want to be Sean, and I want to be connected to you. Like, I want to be able to tell you call me up and say, hey, man, I hear this. You want to do this? Yeah, let's do it. The way will be made because we created together. And I want to do that with all my friends for the rest of my life. I just want to be free, man.
Well, first, wow, that's a heavy thing. I mean, it's a beautifully heavy thing. And how do you think you'll navigate when that thing comes up? It's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do right now. This is what's in front of me, and there's resistance inside of it.
Mm-hmm. Honesty.
How do you navigate that?
Just honesty. If somebody writes something for me, or if I write something for somebody, just call them up and talk about it. Say, look, I'm afraid of this. I'm worried about it. Let's talk about this. Well, what are you worried about? I don't know if it sounds good. I don't know if it makes sense. Having more conversations like that with people.
Do you have, maybe you don't have these barriers you've deleted those programs, but for people that do, like myself, what if the barriers are financial? Like I have this thing I want to do, but I have no idea how I'm going to fund it or get it done.
Well, that is an interesting thing, because historically, I mean, I was really fortunate early on to be with a record label that had a ton of resources, Mac Avenue. And I was sort of self-sufficient for a long time, even though I needed the record label to get my music out there. And then, we parted ways amicably, and I'm really thankful for Mac Avenue Records and Gretchen specifically for the support. But after that happened, I stopped for a while on purpose, because around that time, I knew that I needed to make changes in my life. So I forced myself to not go in the studio. I would collaborate with other people. I did SF Jazz, created a couple other bands, played on albums. But I wanted to wait and see how I felt about it. Now I'm at the place where I'm doing this album, what I'm calling my last album, which will be called Return. It's called Return, the Prodigal Son, which will be a series of letters that I'm writing to my daughters. Each song is going to be attached to a letter, which speaks about my successes and failures in life, and also my general life philosophy now. I say that to say that I was thinking about funding this all myself and just saying, I can do it. I'm just going to save money and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Well, here comes private school. Here comes this. Here comes all these other things. It's like, oh man, maybe I'll just wait. Something inside of me said, nope, you're not alone. People are going through what you're going through. Your voice needs to be heard. Ask people. Ask. You have not because you ask not. And so I just started calling friends that I had known for a while that were supporters. And I said, hey, listen, this is my idea. Are you interested at all in being like an executive producer? None of them have said no to me so far. None of them. And it helped me to realize that, the resources are there. They're there. You're there. You just got to write the grants, create the proposal, create the idea, and go in the direction. Again, in Islam, take one step towards Allah, he'll take a step towards you. If you walk in faith, then things will become clear. But to do nothing means that there is nothing. So I don't want to live in my ideas just in my mind anymore. I just want to let everybody know, hey, I'm trying to do this. Maybe it'll take a year. Maybe it'll take 2 years. But I'm going to keep going for it. I'm going to ask for help. That does not mean that I don't have things. I have everything. I have everything I need. Which leads me to one of the topics that I want to discuss with my kids. I call them the 3 enoughs of life. The first enough is, in my opinion, the most important enough, is when you've had enough. Maybe not the most important. And it's a starting point, it's important. When you realize that you've had enough of waiting for your own genius to come out of you. When you've had enough of feeling the barriers that keep you back. When you've had enough of the resistance, enough is enough, And then the second enough is when you realize you have enough. When I have friends, when I have extended family, when I have people that I could call upon when I need help, and maybe they need help too. I got enough. We're all connected. The last one, and this is probably the most important one, is when I realize I am enough. I am enough. I am enough to see my vision through. It is enough. Because I'm a part of the great all, that means I'm connected to all that is. And so even though when I look in the mirror, I only see a shell, I know that it's connected to the great eternal consciousness that is within all of us. And if I just keep asking and keep going, it will be born. It will happen. And so I'm just living in that faith right now as I do this thing, man. And it is like the greatest roller coaster and free fall ever. It feels amazing.
Yeah. Fearless.
Fearlessness. I'm living inside of that now.
Yeah, I feel that in you, for you.
We're together, man.
You are such a pure joy. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Love you, man.
Love you too. To be continued.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My brother.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God bless you.
God bless you.